Learn how to turbocharge your marketing results by building repeatable, scalable demand gen systems from Sheila Kloefkorn, CEO of KEO Marketing and founder of the Business Owners Marketing Academy. See if you qualify for a complimentary marketing roadmap for your business at keomarketing.com/audit.
You're listening to B2B Growth, a daily podcast for B2B leaders. We've interviewed names you've probably heard before, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, but you've probably never heard from the majority of our guests. That's because the bulk of our interviews aren't with professional speakers and authors. Most of our guests are in the trenches leading sales and marketing teams. They're implementing strategy. They're experimenting with tactics. They're building the fastest growing B2B companies in the world. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media, a podcast agency for B2B brands, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of this show. When we're not interviewing sales and marketing leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of our own business. We'll share the ups and downs of our journey as we attempt to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to B2B Growth. I'm your host and speaker for today's episode. I'm Sheila Kloefkorn, CEO of KEO Marketing, an award-winning B2B marketing agency. This is the fourth episode in the hashtag Demand Gen series. And if you'll allow me, I first want to congratulate our KEO marketing team. We turned 20 years old this month, and I am so very proud of the culture we've created and the outstanding work we've delivered over 2 decades. So for our current amazing team and those team members who have moved on to other really impactful roles, both at agencies and clients, I just want to say thank you for being a part of this amazing company's journey. I want to thank you for your commitment to our client success. Thanks for helping me to build an agency focused on being true strategic partners who deliver both the attention clients deserve and the results they hire us for. I'm so proud of how you've grown in your careers and that we have delivered hundreds of millions of dollars in leads and sales for our clients. I am so proud of all of you, and I'm really excited to celebrate our birthday. So speaking of leads and sales, today I'm going to talk about how to launch and scale outbound marketing, how to launch and scale outbound marketing, and the levels of account-based marketing. So how many of you know much about outbound marketing? I know that the level of understanding of outbound is a little different than inbound. We've really focused a lot in marketing on inbound over the last 10 or 15 years. Inbound is where you can be found, where prospects are looking. So a lot of focus on SEO and social media and being found where they're looking for you because that makes them more qualified leads. But in the past 5 years, outbound marketing has really experienced a renaissance. And outbound marketing is marketing to known companies and accounts. It allows you to reach out and connect with those prospects where they are, because those types of prospects tend to need more nurturing to develop rapport and a relationship. But what it does is it speeds up the sales process. It generates account velocity and it supports the sales channel. So more and more companies are really embracing the idea of outbound marketing again, something that we used to call target marketing, but it now mostly is called account-based marketing. So why is it important to use both inbound and outbound marketing? Well, Google data shows us that buyers are receiving more than 5,000 marketing messages a day. That's up 1,000 more than the 4,000 from last year. Buyers really want to direct their own research process. Think about how you buy a car today versus how you used to buy it 15 years ago. We really want to do that research online, and we often expect salespeople to be order takers. And then probably the most important reality is that research shows that it takes 7 to 16 touches to move a prospect to the next stage, not to buy, but even just to the next stage. So there's an awful lot of noise out there. So in a best case scenario, you have budget to do both inbound and outbound marketing. But if you don't, and you have a sales team that really needs leads to fill their sales pipeline, then outbound marketing might just be for you. So outbound marketing, the way that a lot of most successful B2B companies are working these days, is sort of under an umbrella of what's called account-based marketing, which may include things like email marketing, LinkedIn outreach, programmatic retargeting, outbound digital advertising, outbound mail, outbound calling, conferences, trade shows, and sales support. A lot of it can go into account-based marketing. Some of you are doing just a couple of these channels, and some of you are much more sophisticated and you're doing quite a few of those channels. But let me just step back for a second and describe what account-based marketing is. So it is an end-to-end go-to-market strategy designed to focus on a majority of marketing, sales, and success efforts on the pre- and post-sales accounts with the highest likelihood of closing through data-driven targeting and personalization programs at scale. So that's a huge definition. We like to think of it as marketing and sales alignment focused on specific companies who are in your target and would make your best dream clients. And by coordinating what's happening between marketing and sales on those specific companies who would make your best clients and for whom you would deliver the most value, often you can get the best ultimate sales. But what you need is a strategy to provide them with real value. So account-based marketing was coined in 1993, and the really big account-based marketing tools started onto the scene between 2012 and 2014. So this is an extension of things that we've done before. But since 2014, for the past 5 or so years, it's really experienced a renaissance, and it's driving leads and sales in a much, much more powerful way across all kinds of enterprises. A lot of big enterprises are doing this, but I'm here today to tell you that ABM and especially lower tiers of ABM can be incredibly valuable for medium and small sized businesses as well. The benefits of account-based marketing are that it tightly aligns the sales and marketing teams. It gives you a more efficient use of your marketing budget. It shortens the sales cycle. It gives you a measurable impact on revenue. And most of all, it often delivers a better customer experience. So there are really just 4 types of ABM. Tier 1 is for the most sophisticated ABMers. These are the folks who want to target, say, 1 to 10 accounts for high value strategic accounts. And that outreach is highly, highly personalized. That's something that costs a lot of money and is complex. And most medium or small size businesses aren't engaging in tier 1 types of ABM activities. But tier 2 and tier 3 is really where most medium and smaller size businesses focus their efforts. Tier 2, Terminus calls ABM Lite. That's for 10 to 100 accounts, where those accounts share similar business attributes, challenges, and initiatives. And then tier 3 is what's called programmatic ABM, or what we call scalable outbound lead generation. And that's 100 to 1,000 accounts. In tier 3 programmatic ABM, it's ABM inspired tactics across hundreds or even thousands of identified accounts. It's like marketing automation with a higher level of personalization and more channels of integrated follow-up. And then some people actually will bolt on ABM to some sort of lead-based nurturing that they're already doing. But for the purposes of this, I'm really going to be focusing on tier 2 and 3, ABM Lite and programmatic ABM, as Terminus has called it. Again, tier 1, higher complexity and resources. Tier 3, lower complexity and resources, but it may take longer to get to the right dream clients. So for ABM, executive buy-in is critical. We've worked with companies where marketing and sales were on board, but executives weren't. And ABM takes a while. ABM takes a while to tell a story, to get people to engage, to reach the right contacts and move through the cycle. And it takes a lot of touches, as I mentioned, 7 to 16 touches just to get a prospect to move to the next stage. So you have to have executive buy-in that this is an ongoing process and that you're building a machine that is going to facilitate the sales and the buyer cycle over time. You also need a champion both in marketing and sales. They have to have the same goals. And too often marketing has a different set of goals than sales. What good ABM does is it brings folks together. You also need to understand that ABM is not traditional lead generation. It's about account penetration and velocity. So you already have the leads. You pick a list of companies that you want to reach out. And so the KPIs are different. You want to look at, are you getting in front of the right people at that company, the right kinds of decision makers and influencers? And is it speeding up the sales process? And then you need to understand that there are different requirements and resources for each tier, as I just mentioned, and that ABM is never done. Like all marketing and all sales, you need to constantly be refining the process. So the steps to launch an ABM campaign, whether you're at tier 1, 2, or 3, is really a 7-step process. First, you need to assemble the team, the execs, sales, and marketing. You need to define your ABM goals and strategy. 3, you need to select your ABM platform or your technology stack if you're tying into other CRM or content management systems. You need to, most importantly, identify and prioritize the target accounts. This is where we see people miss a step. Prioritizing what companies you're going to be reaching out to and making sure sales and marketing are on the same page is really, really important. And then you need to select your channels. Some of the most important channels that we use are email, LinkedIn outreach, regular direct mail, and programmatic advertising. Once you have those channels and you've prioritized your target accounts, then you need to craft your message. Doing that by building off of personas that represent your target buyers is important because we want to make sure that the messaging for each of those channels and each of those target accounts is as personalized and relevant as possible. Once you have all those things set up, then you can start to execute the ABM campaigns and begin a coordinated sales outreach. But this takes lots of evaluating of the results and optimization as the campaigns go. So for those of you who are just getting started in ABM, many of you ask me, what are the best platforms that we should use? And we sort of put them in 2 categories. The level 1 or tier 3 type of outreach can be accomplished by most small and medium-sized businesses using a platform like reply.io or outreach.io. These allow you to send emails on behalf of salespeople in much smaller batches, which increases deliverability rates and can be really powerful. Those cost on average $100 a month per salesperson, and so they're much, much more affordable. If you're doing tier 1 or tier 2 ABM campaigns, a full service ABM platform like Engagio or Demandbase or Terminus or even Marketo now has an ABM platform, those can be really powerful. But for the purpose of what I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to focus on medium and smaller size businesses, and reply.io and outreach.io can be incredibly helpful in those instances. So why wouldn't you just use your existing marketing automation campaign if you have HubSpot or MailChimp or Pardot or something like that? The reason is because of GDPR. It's a European Union law that regulates the personal data of individuals in the European Union. And if you're only marketing in the United States, you might say, why does that impact me? Well, any big platform like a HubSpot or a Pardot has international clients on it. So they have had to basically lock down their platforms and not allow cold emails to be sent for some time, but even more so. So they're much more diligent about just not wanting any cold emails to be in your platform. Everybody needs to be opted in. And that's tough. That's tough to reach out to people if you don't have them opted in. So a lot of times we will use advertising to reach out to folks to get them to opt in. And another way you can do it is to email much, much smaller groupings. And that's what reply.io and outreach.io help to facilitate. In any case, with any platform, you want to make sure that you're CAN-SPAM Act compliant. In mid-February of 2019, the FTC reviewed the CAN-SPAM rules and determined that they are in fact still necessary and should remain in their current form. So anyway, in other words, CAN-SPAM isn't going anywhere. If your business is subject to the guidelines of the CAN-SPAM Act, the time to comply is now, and you probably already are. So let's talk about that tier 3 programmatic ABM and using a platform like reply.io. It's our favorite. It's the easiest to use. They have really good tutorials. They have really good support. It may not be the platform for you if you are in a highly compliant or regulated environment. Outreach.io might be better for you in that case, but reply.io is a really powerful, inexpensive platform to use. And we encourage you to check it out at reply.io. We don't get paid from them in any way, shape, or form. We just happen to like the platform, which is great. So once you've decided on your target list and you've got your platform and you've developed your messaging, then you need to think about how to integrate all the channels of the marketing. So we typically will use email as the primary or hub of the content that's going out. We send 1 email out per week, so 4 per month. We layer that in with LinkedIn outreach starting in month 2. We follow up with sales outreach also starting in month 2 after these contacts have received 4 emails. And then we follow them around with programmatic ads. So those are additional touches, because the sooner we can get to those 7 to 16 touches with really valuable information that helps them, the more likely they are to respond. So a particular case study that I can share with you about how this works is that we worked with an electronics company out of Tel Aviv in Israel. And I can't share the name on this podcast, but you can see some information about it on our website at keomarketing.com. They create 3D printers for electronic circuit boards. It's a very, very powerful technology. They needed to set up their US operations, and from a list of just 3,000 contacts, our ABM program generated more than 1,000 appointments in less than 2 months. We had a partially warm list and a cold list, and we leveraged reply.io to get out in front of these contacts with powerful content, videos, emails, LinkedIn outreach, and sales calls, so that they were able to dramatically increase their revenue in a very short period of time. This happened more quickly than it often does with ABM programs. But again, from just 3,000 contacts, we got 100 requests for appointment in less than 2 months. We recommend ABM, especially tier 3 programmatic ABM, for companies who have a list of target companies who are looking to do more of what you do well. So particularly, let's just think about if you have a list of 10 of your customers or clients that you do really great work for, and you don't have any exclusivity, but you could do more in those same industries. ABM is a great way to reach out to like companies, to show the value of the work that you've done, and to get in front of the right decision makers. If you're more advanced than programmatic, the tier 3, and you want to do tier 1 or tier 2, we recommend a platform like Terminus. You can go to Terminus's website, TERMINUS, and see some case studies there for some other examples of those. So that's a quick overview on how to set up an ABM program and expand and scale your outbound lead generation. If you'd like more information about either how to set up your own or help in setting up your own, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, Sheila Kloefkorn, KLOEFKORN, or reach out to us at KEOmarketing.com. That's a wrap for this episode of the Demand Gen series on how to launch and scale outbound marketing. Have a great day.
We totally get it. We publish a ton of content on this podcast, and it can be a lot to keep up with. That's why we've started the B2B Growth Big 3, a no-fluff email that boils down our 3 biggest takeaways from an entire week of episodes. Sign up today at sweetfishmedia.com/big3. That's sweetfishmedia.com/big3.